I heard my mother's voice before I even opened my eyes. "She's not going to survive," she whispered softly. "Just sign it." A machine beside me let out a slow, steady hiss. Air moved in and out of my lungs, but it didn't feel like mine. My body was completely still, frozen. But inside my mind, I was screaming. My name is Maya Reed. I'm 28 years old. And the people quietly dividing my life, like scavengers picking apart something already dead, are my own parents. 3 weeks ago, I collapsed on my kitchen floor. The doctors said it was a ruptured aneurysm. One moment I was standing, making coffee. The next, everything went black. Emergency surgery followed. ICU. Then silence. A coma. While I lay there unconscious, tubes forced down my throat, machines breathing for me, my parents stepped in. Legally, temporarily. They took control of everything. My house. My savings. My business accounts. Even my grandmother's jewelry. Everything I'd built after escaping them at 19. To everyone else, they played the role perfectly. "We're just handling her affairs," they said. Concerned. Responsible. Loving. But that wasn't the truth. They were selling my life. My house was listed. My belongings were uploaded online. My accounts slowly drained. Piece by piece, like I was already gone. And the worst part? I could hear some of it. Not clearly. Not always. But enough. Fragments of conversations. Nurses talking in low voices. A lawyer mentioning transfer documents. My father asking how fast a buyer could close the deal. They thought I was gone. They didn't know. I was still there. And they definitely didn't know about the one thing I never told anyone about. The hidden door. 3 years ago, when I bought that house, my parents laughed at me. "It's too big for you," my father had said. "You'll fail and come crawling back," my mother added. But I didn't. I worked 2 jobs through college. I built a digital security consulting business from nothing. No help. No support. Just long nights, stress, and determination. By 25, I bought that house in full. That kitchen, it wasn't just a kitchen. It was peace. White cabinets. Warm sunlight every morning. Silence that didn't feel heavy. And behind the pantry shelves, there was something else. Something no one knew about. A contractor who owed me a favor helped me install it. A seamless, reinforced steel door hidden perfectly behind a false panel. You wouldn't see it unless you knew exactly where to look. Inside that room, documents, hard drives, cash reserves, backup identities, proof of everything I owned. I work in cybersecurity. I've seen what people become when money is involved. Even family, especially family. So I prepared. Not because I wanted to believe they would betray me, but because I knew them. Growing up, they controlled everything. My bank account, my clothes, my friends, even my choices. Love always came with conditions. Approval always had a price. When I left at 19, they lost control. But my coma, it gave it back to them. Or at least, that's what they believed. What they didn't realize was that I wasn't as powerless as I looked. Because the moment I woke up, I didn't panic. I started thinking. When I finally opened my eyes, I made a choice. I stayed quiet. No panic. No questions. No confrontation. Just silence and observation. The hospital room felt too bright. My body was weak, heavy, like it didn't belong to me anymore. Every breath pulled at the stitches inside my chest. But my mind? Sharp, focused, watching. The first thing I asked for wasn't water. It was my phone. My mother leaned over me instantly, her smile too perfect, too practiced. "Oh, sweetheart, don't worry about anything," she said gently. "We've taken care of everything. Taken care of everything." I nodded slowly, pretending I didn't understand. "My house," I whispered, letting my voice shake. She sighed dramatically, placing a hand over her chest like she was the one suffering. "It was too much for you," she said. "All those expenses, all that maintenance. We had to make a decision." A pause. Then she smiled again. "We sold it." For a moment, I just stared at her. Then I nodded, as if I trusted her, as if I believed her. But the truth was, I didn't need her words. My father stood near the window, avoiding my eyes completely. That alone told me everything I needed to know. Later that night, when they thought I was asleep, I moved, slowly, carefully. Pain shot through my body, but I ignored it. I reached for my phone, connected to the hospital Wi-Fi, and logged into a secure backup server. A system I built myself. Hidden, encrypted, untouchable. Within seconds, the feeds came alive. My house, or what used to be my house. I watched strangers walk through my living room. Their voices were distant, but their presence was enough. My furniture was gone. The paintings I chose, piece by piece gone. The place felt empty, cold, stripped, like I had never existed there. Then I saw my bedroom. The antique vanity my grandmother left me, gone. Of course it was. They didn't just sell the house. They erased me. But then, something caught my attention. The kitchen. I zoomed in slightly, my fingers trembling just a little. The pantry. The shelves were gone, but the wall behind them, still intact. My breathing slowed. The panel was untouched, which meant they never found it. My parents had taken everything they could see, everything obvious. But the most important thing, the thing that actually mattered, they missed it completely. I didn't cry. I didn't break down. I didn't feel anger. Not yet. What I felt was clarity. Cold, precise, controlled. Because what they stole from me was visible, replaceable. But what they didn't find, that was power. And power changes everything. A week later, I was discharged. My body was still healing. Every step was careful, measured. But inside, I was already 10 steps ahead. The moment I turned on my phone, it exploded with notifications, messages, mentions, tags. Confusion hit me first, then curiosity. And then, I saw it. My mother, standing in what used to be my living room, crying, perfectly, her voice trembling just enough to sound real. We had to make difficult decisions while Maya was fighting for her life, she said into the camera. Selling the house was necessary. Medical bills are overwhelming. I stared at the screen, expressionless. Comments flooded in. You're such strong parents. She's lucky to have you. You did the right thing. Donations poured in. Thousands. Tens of thousands. Sympathy turned into money fast. I kept scrolling. And then I saw something that made my fingers go still. An auction listing. A familiar one. My grandmother's emerald necklace. The caption read, helping cover ICU expenses. My chest tightened slightly, but not from emotion. From realization. My medical bills? Already fully covered by my private insurance. Every single one. Which meant every dollar they received was a lie. I leaned back slowly, my breathing steady.
They thought my silence meant weakness. They thought my coma erased me. They thought their story was untouchable. But they forgot one thing. I was still here. And I was watching. And now, I was ready to act, but I didn't confront them. That's what they expected. Tears. Anger. Questions. A breakdown they could control, twist, and use against me. But I gave them nothing. I went quiet. Because pain has a strange way of sharpening you. Every night, lying awake, feeling the pull of stitches every time I breathed too deeply. I replayed everything in my head. The rushed house sale, the forged authority, the donation campaign, the auction. It all connected. Clean, clear, calculated. And I knew one thing for sure. If I reacted emotionally, I would lose. So I chose precision. Step 1. I contacted the buyer. Not as myself. I created a shell email, masked IP, untraceable route. Years of cybersecurity work made it easy. I introduced myself as a legal consultant conducting a routine review. I mentioned undisclosed structural features tied to the property. That got his attention. Step 2. I hired a forensic accountant. Quietly. No digital trail leading back to me. Cash retainer pulled from reserves my parents didn't even know existed. I needed numbers. Transactions. Proof that couldn't be argued with. Step 3. I went back to the one thing they should have never touched. My grandmother's will. The original copy wasn't in any bank. Not in any safe deposit box. It was inside the hidden room. Exactly where I left it. Along with notarized backups, sealed and protected. My parents had authority over my medical care. But they had no legal right to sell inherited property. No right to run fundraisers based on lies. No right to touch what wasn't theirs. I didn't want revenge that screamed. I wanted consequences that echoed. By the end of the week, everything was in motion. And then, I met the buyer. His name was Daniel Hayes. We stood in what used to be my kitchen. The same space where I once felt safe, now felt unfamiliar. He looked at me carefully, unsure, slightly uncomfortable. "You're saying," he began slowly, "there's something in this house that wasn't disclosed?" "Yes," I replied calmly. My voice didn't shake this time. A secured structure. Installed privately. Not included in the sale. I placed a folder in front of him. Blueprints. Permits. Contracts. All in my name. Only mine. He flipped through the pages, his expression shifting from confusion to concern. "And your parents sold this house?" he asked. "Under temporary medical authority," I said. "Authority that does not extend to concealed, privately registered security structures." He looked up at me. "Are you saying this sale isn't valid?" I held his gaze. "I'm saying you purchased a property connected to potential fraud. And if this escalates, your ownership could be legally frozen." Silence filled the room. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Real. Then I gave him a choice. "Let me access what's mine," I said evenly. Quietly. Supervised. No complications. A pause. Or, I didn't need to finish. He understood. Litigation. Delays. Risk. He exhaled slowly, then nodded. "Show me." We walked to the pantry. Or what remained of it. The shelves were gone, just like I saw through the cameras. But the wall? Untouched. I stepped forward, pressing my fingers against a specific point. A soft click. Then, the wall shifted. Slowly. Revealing the door behind it. Daniel didn't speak. He didn't move. He just stared. And when the door opened, everything changed. Inside, the room was exactly how I left it. Steel shelves. Lockboxes. Drives. Documents. Order. Control. Security. Everything my parents thought didn't exist. Everything they never found. I stepped inside without hesitation, ignoring the pain in my body, because in that moment, I wasn't weak anymore. I moved with purpose. I retrieved only what mattered. The original will, financial backups, transaction logs, and one more thing, a sealed envelope, labeled clearly. Contingency if compromise. I held it for a second, then placed it in my bag. When I stepped back out, Daniel was still silent. Processing. Understanding. Before leaving, I handed him another folder. "This proves the house was sold under false claims," I said. "My medical bills were already covered. The fundraiser was fraud." He looked at me, serious now. "This is going to be big," he said quietly. I met his eyes. "Yes, it is." And for the first time since I woke up, I wasn't just reacting anymore. I was ready to end at point 2 days later. Everything began to fall apart. Not for me. For them. My lawyer filed the case early in the morning. Clean. Direct. Precise. Fraudulent misrepresentation. Illegal sale of assets. Financial exploitation of a medically incapacitated individual. No emotions. Just facts. By the afternoon, the court summons had already been issued. That night, my phone rang. I stared at the screen for a moment before answering. My mother's name. Of course. Her voice was shaking when I picked up. "Maya, what is this?" she asked, trying to sound confused, innocent. I leaned back slightly, my tone calm. "You told the world you did what was necessary," I said. "Now, let's see if the court agrees." Silence. For the first time in my life, they sounded afraid. The courtroom wasn't dramatic. No shouting. No chaos. Just truth, laid out piece by piece. Bank records don't cry. Transaction logs don't lie. And timelines? They don't forget. Every transfer. Every deposit. Every withdrawal. All traced. All exposed. The fundraiser money? Redirected straight into my parents' personal account. The house sale? Rushed. Manipulated. Built on false claims of financial distress. And the necklace. My grandmother's emerald necklace. Specifically listed in her will. Given to me. Not them. When my mother tried to cry on the stand, it didn't work this time. There was no camera filter, no soft lighting, no supportive comments, just silence and evidence. The judge reviewed everything carefully. Then, within an hour, the decision was made. Full restitution. Every dollar returned. The necklace recovered. Civil penalties for fraudulent fundraising. And more importantly, a criminal investigation opened against them. But that wasn't the real ending. Not yet. Because the real twist was still waiting. Later that day, I opened the sealed envelope. The one from the hidden room. The one labeled, contingency if compromise. Inside was a legal clause, added years ago, at my grandmother's insistence. Clear, specific, unavoidable. If any guardian or family member attempted to unlawfully sell, claim, or profit from inherited assets during my incapacity, they would lose everything. Their entire share of her estate.
Gone.
Transferred.
To me.
I read it twice. Then I smiled just slightly. Because they didn't just lose the case.
They lost everything they thought they were protecting. After the court hearing, my father tried to stop me outside. Maya, wait. We were just trying to know, I said softly. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. You were trying to profit from my silence. He had no response. No excuse left. And for once, no control. I walked away. No anger. No tears. Just closure. They thought I was already gone. They thought I wouldn't come back. They thought they had time. But they never imagined I would wake up ready, prepared. And this time, I didn't leave any doors open. If you made it this far, just remember this. Not every betrayal is loud. Some of the worst ones come quietly, from the people you trust the most. So protect yourself, even from family.